Welcome everyone to this explainer. Today, we're doing something really exciting. We are going to distill decades of Bill Gates' experience into a highly actionable career guide specifically for today's tech industry. We're drawing directly from an incredibly candid recent conversation where Gates just opened up about everything, from his super intense early days building Microsoft all the way to his current views on AI, global innovation, and what true legacy actually means. So if you're a focused learner trying to build a really meaningful career in this modern economy, consider this explainer your blueprint. All right, here's our agenda for today. We're looking at the lifelong student mindset, AI and future tech careers, India's global innovation engine, solving global health crises, and finally, rethinking wealth and legacy. Let's jump right into Section 1, the lifelong student mindset. You know, before you can build a massive company or solve global problems, you have to build the right mindset. And it's actually fascinating to see how Gates' own mindset has evolved over the years. Look at this contrast. Gates admits that back in his 20s, he was basically a maniac. He had this hyper-narrow focus on just advancing software faster than literally anyone else. No wife, no kids, just pulling straight 72-hour sprints in the office before finally crashing. And hey, when you're in a tight race, that kind of relentless, adrenaline-fueled stamina can totally be the differentiator. But look at Gates today, approaching 70. He's completely shifted from that narrow sprint to relying on accumulated wisdom, a really broad curiosity, and intentionally acting as a student of the world. And if you want to know the secret sauce to his continuous learning, this is it. True intellectual growth requires you to be absolutely honest with yourself. It is so easy to read an article about AI or, say, biology, and just nod along, kind of pretending we grasp it, right? But Gates forces himself to be, in his own words, brutal about whether he genuinely understands the mechanics of a new concept. If you want to succeed today, you just can't fake comprehension. So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, it boils down to this super simple yet incredibly potent four-step framework. First off, never drop that student mindset. Doesn't matter how successful you get. Second, you gotta read heavily and consistently. Even now, in our era of, 3-second attention spans, Gates still dedicates specific hours every single day to deep reading. It's really the only way to build deep knowledge. Third, go out and find the experts who can teach you directly. Seek out the people pushing the boundaries. And finally, take those new pieces of knowledge and actively connect them together to build a comprehensive worldview. Honestly, this framework is exactly what keeps his brain sharp and his ideas relevant. Okay, moving on to Section 2, AI and future tech careers. Let's see how that student mindset applies to the biggest technological shift of our time. I hear this question all the time. With massive tech giants pouring unbelievable amounts of money into AI models, is the window for a young entrepreneur to build a massive AI business already closed? It's a completely valid fear. It kind of feels like the big players have already won the race before the rest of us even got to the starting line, right? Well, not quite. When we actually break down the tech layers, the landscape becomes a lot clearer. Training those massive foundational models from scratch, yeah, that layer is dominated by big tech. It requires resources most of us can't even fathom. Gates points out that the chance of building a foundational company on the scale of an NVIDIA or Microsoft today is, maybe 2 or 3 out of 10,000. But the applied AI layer, that is wide open. Your biggest opportunity right now isn't necessarily in building the AI itself, but in becoming a sophisticated power user who applies these tools to solve distinct problems across different industries. Think about the emerging frontiers here. Gates points out that applied AI is going to be revolutionary. For example, imagine using AI to scale mental health care access. We are literally never going to have enough human therapists to meet global demand. But an AI companion? That could help people, especially those with mild symptoms, get the support they desperately need. AI is also going to process medical data and model disease outbreaks at a fraction of the cost. Plus, it's poised to totally redefine human creativity, generate incredible educational media, and just massively optimize how we work. These are the spaces where the next huge breakthroughs are going to happen. So his direct advice for young professionals entering the tech industry today is crystal clear. Learn AI as a user. Find an industry that you are deeply, genuinely passionate about and build a bridge. Whether you love healthcare, agriculture, education, take these digital tools and figure out how they can radically improve your field. That's how you carve out a really meaningful, high-impact career today. Let's pivot to Section 3, India's global innovation engine. Gates has been watching India's role evolve for decades, and it's basically the perfect case study in technological momentum. Back in the early Microsoft days, it was mostly step one, bringing incredibly smart engineering talent from India over to the US. Then, in step two, a lot of that talent eventually went back home to build out operations like Microsoft India. But today, we are firmly in step three. India has absolutely exploded into a global capital for cutting-edge, yet highly cost-effective tech solutions. And the entire world is benefiting from this. They are pioneering AI in healthcare and creating better agricultural tech for farmers. But what's really mind-blowing is their digital public infrastructure, things like massive digital identity networks and digital money systems. This infrastructure works so well that the Gates Foundation is actually funding leaders from African nations to go to India, study these open source models, and then implement them back home. It's just a fantastic pipeline of global technological cooperation. Now, software is only part of the equation. Let's look at Section 4, Solving Global Health Crises. Let's see how Gates tackles the world's most devastating biological problems. 3x. This number represents a really stark reality that drives a lot of his foundation's work. Despite all our modern progress, the child death rate in places like India is still nearly 3 times higher than it is in rich countries. For a highly data-driven mind like Gates, that is just an unacceptable gap in global equity. And a massive driver behind that inequality is malnutrition. But it's not just about being hungry. Gates emphasizes that we still don't fully understand the biology here. The heartbreaking part is how permanent it is. If a child suffers from severe dietary or disease issues in utero or during their first year of life, it permanently stunts their physical and brain development. Even if they get a perfect diet later on, they never regain that lost potential. It's a scientific mystery that he is aggressively pushing researchers to solve. But alongside those heavy challenges, there is so much hope. Get this. Despite the setbacks, he boldly predicts that within just 5 years, we could completely eradicate polio from the earth. Think about that time frame for a second. 5 years to wipe out a disease that has paralyzed people for millennia. If we pull this off, it'll be only the second human disease ever eradicated, right after smallpox back in 1980. I absolutely love this quote. It perfectly captures his life's work. He wants to turn words like polio, malaria, and measles into historical relics. You know how you might read an old novel today and wonder what they mean when a character catches consumption? It's because we've largely managed tuberculosis. Well, Gates wants future generations to look back at the word polio and have absolutely no idea what it even was. Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, Rethinking Wealth and Legacy. Less than 1%. That is the estimated sliver of Bill Gates' massive total wealth that his children will actually inherit. Now, that might be shocking to some people. While a lot of folks think it's a parent's duty to pass down every single penny they make, Gates takes a radically different approach to his fortune. What we're seeing here is a fascinating, broader shift. Modern tech billionaires are really breaking away from the traditional dynastic model. Historically, wealthy families just focused on passing massive inheritances and corporate controls straight down the family tree. But the tech sector's philanthropy model is different. They're choosing to pledge not just a little slice of their profits, but the actual base capital, the vast majority of their fortunes, right back to the neediest in society to solve these massive global problems. And his philosophy here is pretty profound. He impartially looks at it and says, leaving massive wealth to your kids isn't actually a favor to them. Yes, of course, you give them incredible opportunities and world-class education, but ultimately they deserve the chance to build their own meaning. They need to earn their own success without living completely overshadowed by a multi-billion-dollar fortune that they didn't even earn themselves. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with something to really think about. We've talked about the maniac focus required to start out, the lifelong student mindset you need to navigate AI, and the massive global problems that are just waiting to be solved. When you apply these lessons, when you inevitably build your own success in this rapid new era, what legacy are you going to choose? Will you hoard your success, or will you use it to bridge the gap for the rest of the world? Keep learning, stay curious, and we'll catch you on the next explainer.